Late breaking news. Welcome one and all, wherever and whenever you may be. This is Mike, UFO field investigator in Southern California, with my friend and co-host,
Reverend Stu in Melbourne, Australia.
Reverend Stu, what do you think, man? The Japan and America just did the UAP UFO handshake.
Mike, that came out of left field for me. Did you know that was coming up? Because I had no idea.
I did not know. I no inkling about it. I was actually scrolling through X this morning. We're not on X. We probably should be, but I only have like a lurking account for other reasons. And there was somebody by the name of Red Panda Koala had posted. I don't know who they are, but shout out to you because brought it to my attention. Posted. So I got 3 video clips. It was about an hour and 37 minutes. Okay, so what am I even talking about? Japan just did a UAP hearing with some U.S. officials, and this was streamed like a day or two ago, and it was about an hour and 37 minutes. I've got 3 different clips totaling about 10 minutes just to show people that it actually happened, and then we'll put links in the description of the actual full-length video, and then another of a translation service. I don't know, maybe I don't know how to use YouTube. I think there is a translation service built in, but I was only able to really get a lot of the translations through this third-party AI free service.
Now, Mike, were these Japanese officials over there, government officials asking these questions?
Yes, it was government officials from Japan in an official capacity of a hearing, speaking directly with, via Zoom, some of the U.S. officials.
I've got a bunch of questions now that relate to this. The number one for me would be, is there that much interest in Japan that they would do an official thing? I'm guessing yes.
So when I first saw the X post, my first reaction was, okay, well, let me see if I can find something not on X. You know, did this actually happen? And of course, the mainstream at this point, the legacy media, has not covered it in any way, shape, or form. I saw something from 2024, which wasn't terribly long ago, right? But still, they were basically, I think the catalyst of this potentially is that someone in the U.S. Put out a report that said Japan is a hotspot for UAP activity. And that may have been sort of a catalyst for this to be occurring.
Wow. Okay, that's really interesting. I'm very grateful that America is being very open about this topic, even internationally. So I'm super impressed, Mike, I got to say.
Yes, and just for anyone who's not up on the news, I mean, in July of 2023, the United States did a formal UAP hearing, and then they did 2 more of them in November of 2024. Mixed reviews on those. The July 2023 really started, making this sort of news all over the world, as it should be. And then in March of 2024, the EU had a very similar hearing. So here we are now at the end of March 2025, and Japan has officially, in my opinion, joined the UAP Transparency Movement with this hearing.
Okay, now I saw some clips, and at one point the Japanese asked a question, and there was silence. I almost heard some Japanese crickets in the background, and I think what they were asking was, what do you know about this topic? What was the question that was asked that resulted in
that's I had sort of the same reaction too. Let's get to that. Why don't we play the clips? There's 3. First, I'll play the first clip that I saw that led to our unscheduled micro episode here. It's about 45 seconds, and this is the one from the Red Panda Koala on X.
Excellent.
So Mr. Sakawa said he had served in the National Security Committee for 2 years. And at the time, Mr. Hamada here was Minister of Defense. And while he was asking questions about UAPs, his party told him not to. But now they are more accepting, and even the General Secretary of our party is here. So he sees some progress.
Oh, that's great. It's still in Europe, it's still not something that the governments there are very open to, I'm afraid.
So in that clip, it was just, a quick thing that we saw that it actually happened. But then this next clip, it's about just under 5 minutes. And what we have here is Chris Mellon, the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence in the United States, was asking questions, and they were being translated into Japanese. And at the end of that 5-minute clip that we're about to hear, Mr. Mellon asks if these things could be non-human and states the answer is yes. So let's check that out real quick.
It is truly an honor to be invited to join you this evening to discuss a topic of great importance to both our nations and to humanity itself.
この両国と人類のためにとても大切なトピックについてこの場にいることができてとても光栄に思います。
Since I spoke with you last year, the most notable development in America has been a continuing increase in reports of mysterious lights at numerous U.S. military bases.
昨年ここで話してからのとても大切な新しい展開というのは、米軍の基地における光の目撃というものがあります。
In many cases, they are drones, but the situation is complex and very concerning.
ほとんどの場合はそれはドローンなんですけれども、実はこのシチュエーションというのはとても複雑なもので、とても心配されるべきものです。
If they are merely drones, why is it that our counter-drone systems that should jam the control signals have proven consistently ineffective?
もしそれらが本当に実際にドローンだけであるとしたら、どうして我々の反ドローンのシステムがうまく機能しないのでしょうか。
Why is it that none ever seem to malfunction or crash, even when there are sometimes large formations for long periods of time?
それらのドローンはどうして故障したり墜落したりすることを避けられるのでしょうか。でそれらは編隊を組んで飛行したりもしています。
Why is it we've had no success in identifying the operators or the kinds of drones involved?
そして私たちはどうしてそれらを操縦する人たちを全て見つけることができないのでしょうか。
Why is it that in some cases they seem to have almost unlimited operating range, even though they lack wings like our long-range drones?
それらはどうしていくつかの場合なんですけれども、とても長距離限られた範囲ではなくあまり限られていない範囲で長時間活動することができるのでしょうか。でそれらのドローンは我々のドローンのように羽を持てないにもかかわらず。
How is it possible that our military pilots are seeing, quote, drones at 35,000 feet going hundreds of miles per hour?
そして我々の軍のパイロットはそれらのドローンが3万フィートの上空を何百マイルもの速度で飛行しているのを目撃しています。
It is a very concerning situation that has disrupted military operations at numerous critical facilities.
でこれらの活動というのはとても憂慮されるものです。それらは我々の軍事的な活動を阻害しています。
The fact that our Congress took action to create an organization to research anomalous phenomenon is proving to have been a very wise decision.
そういうふうに考えると、やはり我々の議会が UAP について研究するということを決めたこと、そしてその行動に移したということはとても賢明なことだと言えましょう。
The better our air monitoring capabilities become, the more we see, but we clearly have a long way to go to understand and control our airspace.
我々の空中をモニターする能力というものはまだとても十分なものとは言えないと言えます。
The importance cannot be exaggerated as we see in Ukraine, where drones have become the leading cause of military casualties.
この重要さというのは、ウクライナの戦争でも見られるでも分かることですけれども、とても大切なことであります。
The fact that military drones are rapidly advancing in capability and being mass produced makes it even more important to look for, detect, and understand the unexpected.
軍事的なドローンというものが急速に進化している今、そしてそれらが大量生産されているようになった今、これらのものをきちんと見て探知するという能力は重要になってきております。
We see drones, but we are also seeing many things we don't understand, and their prevalence and importance is only increasing.
我々はドローンも目撃しているんですけれども、そうでないものも目撃しています。で、それらの重要性というのはずっと増してきています。
Is it possible some of the strange craft we are seeing are vehicles created by a non-human civilization?
それらの奇妙な乗り物というものが非人類の文明によって作られているという可能性はあるのでしょうか？
The answer is yes. And the more one studies the history of the UAP phenomenon, the clearer that answer becomes.
Okay, so what do you think about that? And the crickets are coming up. Don't worry.
Mike, does Chris Mellon currently hold that position you mentioned earlier?
Not currently. He is the former. So it's pretty interesting that nobody in the current positions ever really says anything. It's not until they leave their posts or their positions that they actually start talking.
I find that interesting because it's not like their security clearance is rescinded. So I wonder how that dynamic works.
I couldn't speak on that. The inner workings of military and politics is very. That's why I got away from it myself, actually. So anyway, yeah, I mean, it is interesting though that we don't really hear any current sitting folks talking about these things. It's not until they're retired or formerly of a position that they sort of come out and talk freely.
Well, I would say, and I want to ask you a question. Did you see, I saw Trump on Rogan. Rogan was asking him about the whole topic. And he was basically saying, I've been told a lot. There's a lot that I've been told, but he didn't get into the specifics of what he's been told.
I think that was maybe before the election, right? If I'm correct.
It might have been.
Remember correctly. Yeah, I mean, I think that was probably a good political play. Being that anyone who's running for president probably doesn't want to say too much about this other than to acknowledge it and say maybe it's true kind of thing, right? Because that could definitely hurt your numbers in the polling places, right? But it's interesting too. Like he's the current administration is definitely doing a lot of things, but not visually about this topic yet, at least. So that's why I think this hearing in Japan with some of our former officials is such a big deal.
Okay, that makes sense. And that correlates with what you're telling me there, because if Trump was on Rogan talking about that before he became president, he's basically ex-president at that point. So it's not like a current sitting president is talking about that information. I get what you're saying.
Oh, okay. You know what? You took that in a whole new level. I completely forgot about that. Technically, that was correct, but he was also seeking re-election. So that's why I think he was probably not wanting to go too deep into the topic.
What a fascinating time. Wow. I wonder now if there are going to be other countries. I wonder if there's going to be other countries having UFO hearings. I wonder maybe it might happen here in Australia, for all I know.
That could be. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you should check with some of, and I'm serious here. Maybe you should check with some of your sources to see if that might be happening soon.
I can definitely do that.
So getting back to the crickets, I think this is a very important thing too. And we're impartial here. We're not making fun of or mocking anyone. I think what just happened was very important, and Mr. Mellon is very courageous, but we're going to play both sides of this because we have to. It's the only right thing to do, right? In this clip number 3, there's a question from the chairman of the Japanese Council who is asking basically, okay, U.S., United States, what do you know? And when he asked that question, nothing. Complete silence. And now, to be fair, there maybe was a little bit of uncertainty or ambiguity in the question, but from my perspective, I knew what he was asking, and everybody on the U.S. side just was sort of remained silent, and then there was a clarifying point that came up, where then Mr. Mellon mentions AARO, the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, and anyone who's been following this topic knows that that particular entity does not have a good track record for transparency thus far, and we do hope the newest appointed head, John T. Kozlowski, is honest moving forward, because we also know that there was a lot of deception with the former head of AARO, Dr. Sean Kilpatrick. So, I mean, why don't we just play that clip real quick as well?
開発研究というのはどの辺まで進んでいるのか、もしもお話しできる部分があれば、ぜひお話をいただきたいなというふうに思います。
菊池さんお願いします。簡単に要約で。ございます。
So this is a question from Mr. Representative Hamada, the chairman of the caucus. So he's now his question is if you know how much of this is actually being developed or researched within the United States. Maybe Chris?
How much of what is being developed and researched in the United States?
I think what he means is 発されているというのをお聞きになっているんでしょうか。
解明のために必要な作業ということですね。
解明のためです。
はい。
So what kind of effort is being done within the United States to understand the phenomena?
So thankfully we have this new office that was created by Congress, and they're undertaking many initiatives. This is long overdue. They are working with our Federal Aviation Administration to collect the data that they acquire through radar systems. They're working with law enforcement. They're working with the military. They're developing new technologies. They're developing new sensors based on studying the phenomenon. And meanwhile, in parallel, our military recognizes that we are in a very difficult situation with regard to drones, and they're accelerating many programs as well. So there is a lot of activity, and thankfully we have an office now that can help coordinate this research and advance it.
And by this office you mean AARO?
AARO, correct.
Okay, so it's kind of like, yes, we want to talk to you, but you're asking questions we don't want to answer yet. It's got to be a two-way street, right?
Well, I would say the reluctance or hesitance to answer that question is still honest in a way, because it's not saying, no, sorry, Mike, we don't know anything, or lying and saying, no, there's nothing to be told here, nothing to be explored, which is what we've been told in the past, that there's nothing to see. So you might find that a weird perspective, but I actually feel that's a more honest thing to not answer.
True. I mean, it could just be me, overanalyzing the question and the reaction. But from my perspective, it sounded like Japan was basically asking the United States, like, tell us everything you know about this. And then they're like, what do you mean?
Well, it ties into what we were talking about earlier, because you'd have to say, well, I've been cleared to answer certain questions. I mean, and that's going to reveal another level to this. So I understand why there's a pause there.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, though, this was, so far, up to this point in time in 2025, this is the biggest development in the UAP Transparency Movement for sure, and it's a very, very big deal. I haven't had time to listen to the whole darn thing yet. I will, and encourage everybody out there to do the same.
Yeah, I'll definitely be checking out the whole thing, Mike. If you get a chance, maybe send that to me, or perhaps put the link at the bottom of our video.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to do that, and I'll send it to you as well, so you can check that out. So with that, anyone who's just checking out this little micro episode, we are here on a regular basis. We have an ever-growing library, and we're not very much into breaking newsy kind of stuff. When it happens and it's relevant, we do it. This came out of the blue, and we're going to be doing another episode right now that was already planned, so we're going to cut this one short. But anyway, the point is, we talk about the nuts and bolts phenomenon. We also talk about the esoteric and spiritual nature of the phenomenon, and we sort of intermingle it together by speaking with military witnesses, academics, first responders, therapists, experiencers, channelers, and looking at this thing as a holistic issue and mystery that is the world over. And we talk to people from all over the world. If there's anyone from Japan who wants to speak with us about any of the sightings that you've had, do reach out to us. We would absolutely welcome and love to do that.
Oh, great idea, Mike. I hadn't even thought about that. I'd definitely be up for that.
Yeah, very interesting. Up until this point, I haven't really focused much of my energy or attention, rather, on Japan. But this is a global issue. So it's, the fact that this is even happening, it's huge. Absolutely huge.
Well, they're clearly demonstrating their interest in this topic. So I definitely want to hear from them.
Absolutely. So thanks for checking out this short episode. We have all kinds of conversations here, and we'll see y'all back here real soon.